And welcome back to another episode of Second Impressions. This is a Stan's web series where we discuss real questions about marketing and provide business insiders insight on important issues. I'm Trevor Heaton. I've got my colleagues Greg Bond and Erik Wolf with me today. Again, welcome, gentlemen.
How's it going?
I'm here.
We're here.
Outside. Spring is approaching.
Which means
very excited for summer. So as soon as the lakes start warming up, I'll be happy.
Well, sweet.
More sunlight at the end of the day, more sunlight at the beginning of the day. Great time of year.
Oh, maybe springing forward sometime soon.
Yeah, this weekend.
This weekend, spring forward.
This weekend, we're making it happen.
I know, very excited. So, aside from spring, we have somebody who has a question for us today, Samir K. in the manufacturing industry. And the question is, honestly, I'm pretty new to marketing. I just really need tips and tricks so I can start doing something. Where's a good place to start? What's some tips and tricks?
Oh, man. We get this a lot.
Where's the magic happening?
So, Greg, you want to give them the tips and tricks?
Tip number one. No tips and tricks.
No,
it's gonna be horrible. You're gonna fail before you start.
All right. Thanks for joining.
Tips and tricks, yeah.
Okay.
The biggest trick you could do is to get objectivity at the table. You need to make marketing more objective. It can't be just this discussion. Hey, doc, of like what people like or dislike internally. And it can't be about just like checking 3 emails off your list or a few posts. The best way to start is going to be by learning more about your marketplace. And you could do this in several ways. So you could create surveys. You can create incentives and promotions to get people to talk to you for interviews. And then you learn more in those interviews, and then you could validate it with the survey on the back end. And by going through that practice, it's a thing that's unique to marketing. Other than like maybe customer support, but most business functions don't incorporate the needs and wants and the things that the marketplace values into their everyday life cycle and to-do list. So the tip and trick is to understand that marketplace really, really well, so that you could take business objectives and strategies and backpedal them into those desires, those perceived value adds that the marketplace has. Because it's much easier to get your business to change and adapt to your marketplace than it is to make the marketplace adapt to your business. We have too many of those conversations where people come in, they're new to a position, they're new to a startup. A startup is just starting marketing. And what they tell us is like, they're the first to have this category or whatever it happens to be, especially in manufacturing, where there's far more innovation than the market is wanting. And so given that he's in manufacturing, I would say really get to know that marketplace and what those people want, so that you can figure out the way to get your business to accommodate those wants. And that would be where you start to build out the tactics and strategies and everything else. But tip and trick, start with research.
It's not fun though.
Super not fun.
Isn't marketing supposed to be fun? Don't we get like graphics and like animations? Isn't this the fun part of business?
Well, I mean, if we're talking about manufacturing, you couldn't come up with a industry that is more averse to like new tech design. If you've ever looked at like a terminals screen or the UIs that are present on manufacturing devices of whatever sort, they're horrendous. I mean, they look horrible, but they work. And that's what manufacturers have gotten used to and accustomed to. And so it's really hard to get away from certain workflows and getting those people to change is very difficult. So basically by starting with them, you'll have a far better chance of getting the adoption and whatever other business goals you might have in mind to occur.
I would, the thing that I would add to that is just that in marketing, I mean, certainly in many aspects of business, but in marketing especially, people seem to feel like they have this license that when we're doing our company's marketing, and I think Greg mentioned the idea that oh yeah, that's this is what I like and this is what I want to do. I really love red, and I like it when stuff is funny and tongue in cheek, and it could be that your customers don't value those things, and marketing at the end of the day is it's not about you as the business owner or operator or manager or whatever. Marketing's job at the end of the day is to facilitate a connection with a customer, and so that means that we have to build our message around the things that they value, not what we value necessarily. What we're trying to do is meet our customer where they are, and tell them the things about us that are going to matter the most to them. And so the real tip and trick and the real way to get ahead is to figure out ways to really show the customer how much you understand them. That's really where the rubber meets the road, and that's also an insurance policy against failure, because saying that it sounds a lot better when you say we followed the guidance that all of our extensive research told us and what the customers told us, and it didn't go as well as it could have, versus the conversation about, well, I just did what my CEO said to do to the letter, and it didn't work. You look a lot better internally when you're doing things that actually have a purpose and that are tracked back to what the customer is trying to achieve, and it's difficult internally. Sometimes it puts you in a position where sometimes you have to challenge the people who are paying your check. But hopefully, if everybody is working towards the same goals, those are conversations that they'll be willing to have.
Because ultimately, you'll be held accountable and responsible in any case.
Correct.
And so if you're going to face consequences, you might as well build into something that has more stability and a little more, let's say, I don't know,
substance.
Yeah, a little more substance than something that would basically just blow up in your face or in everybody's face, really, at that point, if you're not using some sort of objective means of identifying how your goals relate to the marketplace. And I think that's what we often see, is that these business goals and tactics and so on are set in a vacuum with themselves. And so it's marketing's job to put those users, those people, the buyers, into the room, so that as businesses are figuring out what they need to do next, they're never going too far without those other people in mind, with the people who ultimately are going to be driving their results.
Yeah, and all too often, the thing that I try to tell folks is just that when you're talking, and especially if you're talking about a product, the thing that people, outside of any other insight, the thing that people talk about most when they're talking about a product that they developed or that their company developed, they're talking about the stuff that they like. This product is cool because X, and we've all been guilty of that, where there are things that we just love about our own stuff and we gravitate towards it. But the fact is that it might not, those things that we get attached to and the things that I'm interested in as somebody who makes widgets or whatever it is, may not be the reasons that people buy them. And so we really need to hear what people are trying to tell us.
Or
And I
what
think
the
my dog is trying to tell me that
what
we
the dog's trying to tell us. Yes. So, the tips and tricks, I'll start with foundational. You really need to understand your marketplace. You really need to understand what's important to the customers. Often what we think is important to the customer is not really what's the most important thing to the customer. So you start by doing win-loss interviews. You talk to your customers that you have, talk to customers you've lost, really talk to every aspect of your marketplace and learn what's important to them. Is that where this starts?
Yeah, and I think a lot of people view this as a potential waste of time because their salespeople are always interfacing with the marketplace. Like they're having those conversations all the time, and so they're telling you what they need, and so that's going to be the thing that they go off of. But what we're saying is we can't let those subjective anecdotes get in the way of providing some real concrete data around those stories. It's great to tell a story. Stories are extremely powerful, but they could potentially hijack you from making the most appropriate moves. Now, there's definitely been times where we've done research and only validated an executive's thoughts on their business in the marketplace. And it's awesome when that happens. Then they have that much more support in their direction and the things that they ultimately task their marketers to do. But I would say far more often than not, we find other things. And so if you're not like basically doing your due diligence, then you're taking away that authority right at the beginning. So it's like it starts with validating all the things that people are saying.
People have blind spots.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay. We're all allowed to have blind spots. We're all allowed to misjudge a situation based on the things that we think that we know, and it's okay. But for as marketers, we want to acknowledge that that's part of the process, and acknowledge that the people inside the organization may not have the answers when it comes to impacting or the best way to influence a potential customer's behavior.
Right.
Exactly. So tip and trick.
Yep. Tip and trick.
Tip and trick. And
don't Google. If you're going to query anything, query your market.
Yeah. Talk to your marketplace. Understand what's important to them, why they feel your product, your service is valuable to them, and then take that and include it into your marketing and your messaging.
Yeah. Especially the things you lose.
Right. Yeah. You can often learn more from a customer you've lost than a customer you have. Why did you lose that customer? And if you have the opportunity to talk to that customer and find out why your service didn't meet their needs, you can really evaluate and re-message.
Or what the decision was that caused them to go with the vendor that they did choose, and what their experience has been. Sometimes a failed sale isn't a vote against you, but a vote for somebody else. And so what was that thing that they said that put us out of the running? Those are really powerful things sometimes, because it can literally just be that our priority was this, and that's what they led with, and we just felt that they were our person.
Right.
Sometimes you lose a deal and it's not even really about you.
You can lose a deal for the right reasons.
Yeah.
No, I actually really like this episode. This is, I think, the foundations of what every company needs to do. And before they start any marketing campaign, before you do anything in the marketplace, understand your marketplace, start to put that into your messaging, and then you're going to connect with your market better and more effectively.
Over and out.
All right. Any final thoughts?
We did it.
All right.
Answered. Asked and answered.
Asked and answered.
We're here for you. We're here for you, Samir.
Yeah, Samir, you have any additional questions or want more insight on how to do some of those win-loss interviews, reach out to us. We'll give you some direction on that. Glad to always help out. So, folks, that Mickey Mouse clock on Eric's wall says that's all. So until next time, if you have a question, email us, secondimpressions@astound.com, right there at the bottom. we'll feature your question and talk about it on a future episode. In the meantime, everybody be well. Thanks for tuning in. Take care.